All right, thank you for staying with the Monday Report. Let's see what you're saying at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Monday Report. Let's bring that up and see what the conversation is online. It's quite heated there. Mwas Rakitik says, by not even considering the biblical side of this issue, even scientists themselves cannot explain how LGBTQ can add value to the human race. But if it's going the way it's going, then our generations are under threat, for they will slowly but surely be diminished. Okay. Ndumu Wanaena says, Constitution of Kenya underpins the principles of inclusion, non-discrimination, and freedom of association. This is what we were talking about earlier on, yes. Let's see what else you're saying. Mr. Papi says, the Litigation Act needs to be looked at in a social angle and a right perspective. As a society, the views of the Kenyans needs to be looked at. As a right act, the right to associate freely needs to be checked. Okay. Oleligam says, my biggest worry is that Gen Z will consider LGBTQ as a new lifestyle, that they will be the end of morality in my homeland. And that will be the end of morality in my homeland, okay? Ndegwa says, our society has a stand on this matter. Having the Supreme Court grant such a go-ahead is suicidal to our reasoning and culture. Okay. Ayan Kenya says, stop invisibilizing sexual and gender minorities in Kenya and beyond because of family values, quote unquote. Our families are and will remain diverse. Registration of initiatives and organizations addressing LGBTQ plus issues is vital to address the social and health issues. Let's hold on to that for a bit and hear what Reverend has to say about this. This is a direct conversation. Ayan Kenya says, stop invisibilizing sexual and gender minorities in Kenya and beyond because of, quote, family values. Our families are and will remain diverse. Registration of initiatives and organizations addressing LGBTQ plus issues is vital to address their social and health issues.
Well, I think that Ayan is misguided. And I'll say three things about why I think he's misguided. Firstly, family begins with the coming together of two people who can produce the next generation. That is a fundamental thing that LGBTQ is against. Man and woman becoming one flesh and producing the next generation. Secondly, our families will never be diverse because the production of children and the coming together into a family are intertwined. They can never be separated. So if you keep having family of men with men, what will happen in another 20, 30 years, women with women, men with men, is that you'll have no one on the earth. Because family includes multiplication, which supplies the next generation. But thirdly, I think that his invisibilizing word is narrow because he is blind to jurisdictions where LGBTQ has progressed. And the script has never been any different. So I urge Ayan to put forward a more informed comment, because we are not invisibilizing. We're saying the LGBTQ agenda is pushed using a certain strategy. And the first strategy usually is the legitimizing association. Okay. Then it moves to the next, which is destroy the criminalization, which is already in the Court of Appeal right now. The next, they will move to the school curriculum and put it and anchor it there. The next, so these are not conspiracy theories. Yeah. I am asking people like Ayan and those he represents to open their eyes, go into other jurisdictions and understand that Kenya doesn't live in isolation. Okay. Yeah.
And Dudley, as the amicus curiae, what was your position on this? Because we don't want to mistake it that you're for or against or supporting any side. What was your position as the amicus curiae?
I think, Trevor, you already did that by inviting me and the Reverend. As we're coming in, I was saying, here goes the Reverend and the sinner.
No. I wanted to hear the legal perspective because you're the only lawyer in this.
Then you should have invited another lawyer, not a Reverend. Anyway,
for
Katiba Institute at the Supreme Court, all we told the court was that you need to look at Article 24 in determining whether the limitation, the right was properly denied, the right to register. I think that's all we said to the Supreme Court. I think the church is coming out so strongly also, especially the Anglican Church, because of what the Mother Church did recently. It legalized same-sex marriages.
Yes.
So the church in Kenya is, trying to make a strong statement. We're already under attack externally, and we now feel that there's also this internal issue that we need to take care of. So maybe that could explain the overreach, because to me, it's an overreach. This is not the case for them to be concerned about.
Okay.
The one that should draw the kind of reaction that it has drawn is the one at the Court of Appeal. That would concern them more.
Yeah.
But they seem to have unleashed a machine gun,
Let me just respond to
It's okay,
my friend Dudley.
Yeah.
I'm an Anglican priest, so I have an advantage in answering this.
Yeah.
Our establishment as the Anglican Church of Kenya and the way that the church in Britain is established has a slight but important difference. The church in Britain, the Church of England, is part of state apparatus. The Archbishop of Canterbury is appointed by the throne of England, whether it was a queen who passed away, may her soul rest in peace, or the king now. And so they intertwine, this particular factor makes the Church of England very easy to infiltrate and to penetrate and, to twist around. That is why our Archbishop, the Most Reverend Jackson Olesapit, gave a very clear statement that we do not associate with the position taken by the Church of England on this matter. Okay. And he wasn't stating a new position. He was actually repeating and restating something that we have always done. So the thing about it is we need to understand the governance establishment. So we are not part of state apparatus. We are set separate from state. The Church of England is part of state. So sometimes when MPs cough, the church catches a cold. Okay. And we understand their situation. We just will keep telling them we don't agree with you on this matter, and we are not likely to in many years to come.
Are there certain clauses that you wish should be repealed, especially something like clause 36, where it allows you to associate with of any kind, to belong to any association?
It provides an ambiguity that can be used for sinister motives. And these are the things that we need to tidy up. Perhaps the 20% that they were talking about when we were lobbying for the Constitution. I think that's part of the ambiguity. Because if you say of any kind, then it also gives room to criminals. How then do you deal with people who are part of the penal code or the criminal code? How do you deal with them if they want association? So this is the question that the church is going to keep asking and will not stop asking.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's see what you're saying still on feedback. A lot of it is coming through. I see here one from Frederick Okango. Says, while you can't stop LGBTQ community from associating, but their freedom of association is not a fundamental right that cannot be limited by law. In this case, it is reasonable and justifiable to limit such rights. Yes, that's the one. Let's bring up the other one. Aquarian says the Supreme Court's decision to uphold the lower court rulings is a triumph for justice and human rights. Discrimination against the LGBTQI community has no place in a modern democratic society. Okay. Let's bring you on. Kimondo Jackson. As much as we look at what Supreme Court judgment on LGBTQ, the confusion is how to allow an illegal act to be done by a legally registered body. This really is where the quagmire is. Chess Dennis says, legislating morality always comes with its pressure, but every society has acceptable norms. The law has to be alive to the society. Okay? Tetezi Mkubwa says everyone should be given freedom of association irrespective of what they believe in or relate to. Legalizing LGBTQ sounds wild to our norm as Africans and Kenyans as well. Yes, we aren't against anyone practicing it, but making it acceptable for people of the same gender to be spouses is what shouldn't be accepted. All right, before I take a quick break, are you concerned by the views you're hearing from Kenyans there?
I am.
This is a random selection. It seems nobody's
positively concerned. Yeah. Positively concerned, especially those who seem to be making reckless and careless comments like, you know, everybody should be allowed to associate with anything because of the whole non-discrimination provision in the Constitution. I like the comment that says there are some freedoms that must be limited because they don't conform to our norms. And because we have said no in the past, we have always said no, and even now, if they take that issue to a referendum, they will still say no. So why is it being thrown into our face, and why must it be legislated? Those are the questions we are asking. Is it a national concern?
There's a direct question here from Alvin who says, Reverend Omotieno, the church should not be messing their noses in my bedroom. You cannot legislate morality in any law. Kenya has no state religion, and no religion should be used as a precedent to any process within the country.
I'd like to tell him with respect, really, that Kenyans were really not looking for what people are doing in their bedroom. It is those people who are doing things in their bedroom that are bringing their affairs into the noses of Kenyans. And Kenyans are saying, we don't want it. So he should not be offended because he started the debate. They are the ones who are the plaintiffs in that case. The government was a respondent. So he doesn't have what you call locus, first of all, because nobody has gone to his bedroom. And secondly, he doesn't have the legal backing to say that morality cannot be legislated, because there are many moral issues that the Constitution legislates.
Okay.
Murder, theft, corruption, all those are moral issues. In fact, a lot of the body of law is a legislation of moral issues. So he defeats his own argument in many ways.
Okay. Moha Jr. says some things don't seem to be worrying us anymore. Compromising our social and cultural values is slowly becoming a norm and seems to be getting support from the government and the judiciary. Was what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah a scam? Enlighten me.
Well, it was not a scam, it was truth, still is truth. And I think that one of the things as a merchant of grace and also as a merchant of God's word, as a person that preaches, which is why I'm using the word merchant, as a person who preaches the word, I know that God is also a God of judgment. And he has a way of calling society back to himself and calling society to order and to accountability. So he is not blind, and we should not act as though he doesn't exist.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I believe I will take a quick break. When we come back, we'll take closing remarks on this conversation. There's still a lot of it coming through. We'll see if we can get a few more reactions before we wind up. All right. See you shortly.